Presented by Polina Kogan. Miranda Rights and Wrongs. You have the right to remain silent, but why would you?
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to my podcast of Miranda Rights and Wrongs. You've got the right to remain silent, but why would you? Let's dive into this episode. I have a very special guest, my best friend.
Hi, my name is Sophia El-Sayed. I'm so excited to be on this podcast with you.
Yeah, so she's also interested in law, and I wanted to actually invite you today because I know we can talk a lot about like different Supreme Court like cases and how they shape society.
100%.
Yeah. So let's dive in. So the first case is going to be Dred Scott versus Sanford, which was in 1857. So let's start with a little bit of historic background so that we could explain it better.
To understand it better.
Yeah.
So basically, before this, because this was in 1857, the Missouri Compromise was the biggest historical context that you could mention, which was in 1850. It was created by Henry Clay, in which obviously the United States wanted to grow in general. They wanted to be bigger, so they wanted to incorporate more states, in which there was the South and the North. South favored slavery, North obviously didn't. So they wanted to admit more states. So they wanted to admit Missouri as a slave state, which would have tipped the imbalance. So Henry Clay created the compromise to fix that.
Yeah, so more in like detail of that, because I think Henry Clay added Missouri as a slave state and then added Maine as a free state to keep the balance in between the two different sections of the U.S. so that everyone is fine with it. And then created like a line of 3630, which means that everything above that line, so in the north, all the states that would enter in that territory would be free states, and all the states that entered below it in the south would be slave states. And that brings us to the case of Dred Scott versus Sanford.
Yes, which basically he was an enslaved man who was with his owner, I guess you could say. They would travel around. It was Illinois, which was which was a free state, and Wisconsin too, was it?
Yeah, like the territory of like whole Wisconsin, yes, which was also free.
Yes, and they were traveling, and then they entered Missouri, in which he wanted. Was it Missouri? Oh my gosh.
I think what, like the biggest takeaway, because I'm not too sure about the territory, so I don't want to say something if it's incorrect. What I know for sure is that he was taken into a territory where it was a free territory, and he took it to the court. He sued his owner and was like, well, look, I'm in the free territory, so I should be a free man now.
And then Roger B. Taney was the one who said no, because
he was the justice, yeah.
And he was like, no, you're property, so the states had to protect property rights, meaning that they can take property wherever they wanted, and also that he was not a citizen because he was a slave, so he could not sue. So that was definitely unconstitutional, and obviously interfered with the Missouri Compromise because that kind of contradicts it. So
yeah, it fully contradicted it because based on the property thing, that property can be taken absolutely anywhere. That means that, well, if like an owner like takes like the enslaved person or just people, right, to let's say like New York, which is a free state, then now slavery would be allowed in New York, which is completely outrageous. Like
insane.
Outrageous, insane. But yeah, that's basically what happened with that one, and it fully undermined the Compromise of 1850, which pushed us closer to the Civil War, actually, because it caused a lot of like more tensions with the South and
because
the North.
It was that, then it was like bleeding Kansas, a lot of things that happened.
Yeah, so it just caused so much more tensions with this ruling.
Yeah.
So yeah, it made things much more intense in the U.S.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next case. So the next case that I want to dive in with you is the Plessy versus Ferguson. And I feel like we can even continue the historical context
Yeah.
from where we left off with the previous case, which was not that long before in
Yeah.
1857.
No, yeah, they were still, I mean, the racism still was definitely prominent there. I think solely because the case previous we were talking about, that was in the 1857,
57.
57, right? So this was before the Civil War. This is after it because it's in 96. So, I mean, a little bit of historical context. They're still racist. They are still definitely not, they don't enjoy the presence of African Americans, unfortunately. Um, I mean, during the Civil War and after, they created the new amendments 13, 14, 15.
So
And
13th was to ban slavery.
14 was citizenship.
14 was citizenship, and
15 was voting rights, maybe.
yeah, maybe.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I believe so, actually. Yeah,
Hopefully.
But from that, so after the Civil War, there was all these amendments created, right? And at that time, so Lincoln was the president during the Civil War. After him, when Reconstruction was happening after the Civil War, it was Johnson,
Yes.
Andrew Johnson. And he kind of was more relaxed than Lincoln about the societal, like, Reconstruction.
Yeah.
He wasn't too, like, involved in it, so Congress took over.
Yeah.
And I know that, like, Congress, like, sent a lot of, like, military into the South to protect the African Americans, because the South started imposing the black codes and like black codes, which were very, like, strict requirements that African Americans had to meet and, like, pass. It was like different tests that they had to pass, like literacy tests, for them to be able to vote. So the Congress actually sent military into the South to protect the African American people.
Yeah. And I mean, although Lincoln tried to ban slavery, the South still found their way around it with sharecropping. So definitely not much change after the Civil War, and that leads into Plessy versus Ferguson.
Yeah, so I feel like the South tried a lot of different things to go around the word of slavery while still, like, having slavery in the non, like, word way, like they use, like, different methods for it. They use different words for it, just to really separate the society as much as they could.
100%. I mean, you want to go into the case?
So I think so. Plessy was 1/8 a black man, and he went into, was it a car or?
I'm almost sure. I think it was a bus or a car.
Yeah, but it was basically like a public transportation. It was public transportation, but it was for whites only.
Mm-hmm.
He went there and he got arrested because he was not allowed to be there. And I think he took it to the court and said that it's unconstitutional, because, and it's not right, because he's being treated unfairly.
Yeah, and that led us to the famous separate but equal doctrine, which stated that as long as the place that's doing the segregation, I guess you can say, is equal, then it's okay. It's constitutional, which obviously it's not. We all know it's not.
Yeah.
But I guess in this time they fed each other these lies. Yeah,
it's like the blind leading the blind. Like, honestly, it was, yeah. But after that, like, separate but equal became a very huge thing, because it talked about everything public. So we're talking about schools, we're talking about water fountains in the public, transportation, restaurants, like, you name it, like, every single place, separate but equal. And all the time, 100%, all the time, it was not separate but equal, but they all wanted to believe that it was.
Yeah, and that eventually got overturned by the Brown versus
the Board of Education, which we're actually gonna
talk about next.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Brown versus the Board of Education.
Yeah. So Oliver Brown had a daughter, in which obviously, like any parent, would want them to have access to education. So he took his daughter to, I guess, an all-white public school. and obviously they were denied entry because of their race. He took it to court, and you want to go with the details?
I think so. When it got taken to court, they ruled out this, completely overturned the Plessy versus Ferguson because, but I think it only applied to public schools, where public schools would no longer be separate but equal. They would be open to like everybody.
Yeah.
But I know that private schools, it was not like that. And there were still a lot of issues because, like, even with Plessy versus Ferguson, like a lot of like places in the South, they found a way around the new laws that were that started opening the pathway to African American people, and they just, like, even later on, even after Brown versus the Board of Education, you can see how different states and different schools started going around it, still trying to deny access for non-white people to come to their schools. But this completely overruled Plessy versus Ferguson when it came to public schools. And it also fueled the civil rights movement, the Civil Rights Act also, and the Montgomery bus boycott that would happen later on in the 1960s. And I think this just fueled a bunch of different movements that have shaped the society enormously.
I think this time of American history especially is when I think African Americans definitely had such a big impact. Like, I think that's when everything changed for them, publicly, like their protests, their peaceful protests. Just so much happened, and I think this is such a big part of history. That's later on, like in the 60s, we have Martin Luther King and his speech, Rosa Parks. I don't know, it's a lot. It's a lot, thank God. They finally can voice their rights, voice who they are.
100%. Yeah, I feel like this really set off even, like, I feel like it just, like, gave them more hope. Like, this case, it gave them hope
their
that
voices were heard more.
Exactly. So they were like, you know what? It's either now or never. And
it was their
they
time.
did their big one. They did their big one.
They did their big one.
They did. But, yeah. But obviously, this case caused, again, a lot of tension in the South.
It's never ending with them. They just don't have enough. They don't have enough. But but honestly, at the end of the day, this was one of those things that, because, for example, Plessy versus Ferguson or Dred Scott, like, I feel like it didn't really go in their favor. It didn't work, but this case, it did.
Yeah, it was the first one that I think...
Maybe not the
first one, but I feel like it was one that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, definitely prominent, very popular case in general. Thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then the next case that we're going to dive in, it's completely different topic, actually.
Yeah.
It's completely different topic.
It's a little out of touch.
Yeah, different topic fully, but also in the 1960s.
Yeah.
So we're just going in order here. So let's actually dive in. Okay, so we're going to talk about Miranda versus Arizona, which was in
66.
Yeah, 1966, and very actually fitting for my podcast.
Miranda, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, this case, I mean, you probably think you don't know it, but you definitely do. It's still used today. It changed police procedures in America.
Yeah, fully.
Like
100%.
Completely fully. So basically, Miranda, he was arrested for rape and kidnapping, and he made confessions because he wasn't aware of his constitutional rights, to which he could remain silent. Anything that is said in that moment can be used against him in court.
Yeah.
And the fact that he would have the right for an attorney.
Yeah, and if he can't afford one will be appointed to him. But the mess up with this case was that he wasn't told that, so he confessed without knowing that he had the right to remain silent.
Yeah.
But he still had a lawyer appointed to him, so his lawyers actually argued for him and said, well, this is fully unconstitutional. You are violating his constitutional rights, and this is not fair anymore.
Yeah.
And this was ruled very closely. So it was 5-4.
Insane.
Yeah.
That would have changed everything.
Yeah. Like, imagine if this didn't work out in his favor. Like, the way that we have Miranda rights right now, like, we wouldn't have that. but it changed police procedure entirely. With the ruling, what happened basically was that they said that when a person gets arrested, they always, always, always have to be told their rights.
The Miranda rights.
And which came to be known as the Miranda rights from this
which
case.
Which are the three, I mean, kind of already said, but yeah, you have the right to remain silent, you have the right to an attorney, and anything said during this can be used against you in court. Those are the three Miranda rights. I think everyone's heard, if whether you see someone getting arrested, or hopefully you don't, but if you even were to get arrested.
Yeah, or even in shows, for example, movies. I feel like if you see someone like police handcuffing someone, you have heard that before.
You know it.
At least once.
Know without knowing it.
Yeah, 100%.
I think this is one of the most, they're all very impactful in their own ways, but
this one really changed the procedure of police in the US.
Yeah, and I think it definitely made sure everyone's constitutional rights are sustained, they're still there.
And that we're aware of them.
Yeah, because a lot of people are not.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to be aware.
We don't have the Constitution in a folder where we check it every day and memorize it.
No. So I'm glad that they did something to make it known.
100%.
It's known. But
yeah, protects us.
Protects us.
So let's dive into the next one. Okay, so this case is actually very big, insanely big.
Really big.
It's Loving versus Virginia. So it was a couple, an interracial couple. It was Jeter, which was a white woman, and Richard Loving. Oh wait, no, sorry. Jeter, which was a black woman, and Richard Loving, who was he was a white man.
Now you're confusing me.
It was a black woman and a white man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they wanted to get married, and they legally got married in Washington, D.C. It was legal there.
Yeah.
And then they went to Virginia because that's where they lived.
Yeah.
Which is 30 minutes, an hour away from DC.
And mind you, this was a year after the Miranda rights. This was in 67.
Yeah, 1967.
So, huge changes in the 60s. Huge.
Yeah, really big ones. But they went to Virginia, and Virginia basically told them, well, you guys can't be together. It's not legal because you guys are not the same race.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. And it's 30 minutes away from Washington, D.C.
I don't even know how, they try to justify any of this. I
know.
Insane. But, I mean, yeah, and then they obviously went to court. They fought for them.
Yeah, and it was a unanimous decision.
Yeah, it was 9-0.
Yeah, 9-0.
Yeah, and now they kind of strike down any laws that ban interracial marriage.
Yeah, fully.
Yeah, and it also made sure that they try to kind of bring up again the fact that marriage is a fundamental right. And then later in 2015, there was another case actually that ties in with the marriage idea.
But
concept.
It was about same-sex marriage.
Yes, which we'll talk about
in
another video.
In a different
podcast.
Yeah, in a different episode.
Yeah.
But they're very similar in a way of fundamental rights.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this changed everything.
It did.
For equal protection.
Yeah.
Due process, everything. Because imagine if this case didn't happen.
Yeah,
the study would be completely different.
Everything would have just each of these cases I think are so impactful for its time and even now, because for all of these led to how society is now. Can you imagine if we still had a 3630 line of slavery? Now in 2025, between 2025 to 1857, we have a line for slavery.
Yeah, that would actually be insane.
Everything is just so different now, and I think that it's always good and be knowledgeable of cases
100%.
Because it definitely makes you know your history. History is so important.
Yeah,
that's
I feel
why we are now.
It gives us even a better understanding of why the society is this today. Such a better understanding, and also seeing the progress that we have made, because right now we still have so many marginalized groups that it can give hope that well, you know what, this is still not the end, we can always fight this. So, yeah. And I think this case is so important because there are just like certain things that genuinely, what does the court have to do with who I marry? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's none of y'all business. Like honestly, it's not even
It's
your
re-
business at all.
it's not. It's really
Yeah.
not. Like making these decisions for like people as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
like the government making decisions for individuals that have nothing to do. Like it's not gonna affect the government. It's not gonna hurt you. Why are you limiting me? Like why are you limiting what I can do? It's
Yeah.
my right. You know?
Yeah.
It's insane. Honestly, it's insane.
And on talking about this topic, our next case
Oh my god.
is actually
It's not recent, but it is
it's
in its
fairly
own
recent
ways.
with the changes that have been made lately,
100%. This
which
one,
is Roe
well,
v. Wade.
yeah.
So let's dive into this really quickly. Okay, so now we're just going to talk about this is the last case, which is Roe v. Wade, and I feel like this
Yeah.
is a huge one with
Definitely a
like
big one.
the changes that have happened since
Recently.
2022.
Yeah, very recently
Yeah.
when it was overturned. But before talking about how it was overturned, we got to talk about
How it happened. Yeah, how it got established. So do you want to start it off?
I mean, yeah, so basically, well, we know her as Ro, but her real name is, well, last name was McCorvey.
McCorvey, yeah.
McCorvey,
So
yeah.
I think Jane Roe was her like pseudonym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, she died very recently. It was 2017. But basically, she was in Texas. She was a Texas woman, and she wanted to get an abortion. Her life was at risk, was it not? No?
No, it was the laws in like in the state said.
Yeah, Texas said that you cannot have an abortion unless it's unless you're about to die, unless your life is at risk. And so, for example, if you were raped and you wanted an abortion, you cannot get it. So the circumstances only were if you were on the verge of death.
Yeah.
So basically, she still got the abortion, correct? She
went to the court and she basically said, well, this fully is unconstitutional because it violates my privacy and personal liberty.
Yeah.
And the court ruled in her favor. It was a 7-2 decision where they were like, well, you're right. So
obviously.
Yeah, and they said that it was a bit it was still like tricky with how abortions would be regulated based on trimesters. So yes. You want to go over that?
Yeah. So the first trimester was that what happens, it's fully up to the woman. The second trimester states that the states may regulate in terms of maternal health. And the third one basically like says that it's up to the states in a way. Like
yeah, because it's so late in the pregnancy.
Yeah, that
at that point, like it can fully be banned by the state, but still like in regard to the mother's health. Because for example, let's say like a woman's in delivery, but something, God forbid, goes wrong. And they also, like doctors, they always ask if anything ever goes wrong, who do you want to save, the mother or the baby? So in that case, that's how they operate. Like it truly depends. And also, if you look at it, no woman has ever, like in the past like couple of years, no woman has ever gotten an abortion in the third trimester.
No.
So it's just like, but this really was such a huge decision.
Yeah, because it allows abortion worldwide. I mean, this was what changed, I think.
It allowed women to have such a bigger voice with their own bodies, with their own choices. And it still caused a lot of different legal debates, because I feel like
today too.
Today 100%.
Because a lot of people still, and I think that it's very hard to get to a common ground because a lot of people see it very differently. I think a lot of people see abortion as either murder or not, because it's a fetus, and I think that's still such a very strong debate happening today.
Yeah,
very strong. I think a lot of people, I don't think it's so hard to get to a common ground with it because I think it's so complex. It's such a sensitive topic. I think a lot of it does have to do with religion too.
Yeah.
So a lot of people see things very differently. So, which is why eventually, unfortunately, it did get overturned in 2022
Yeah,
by
which
Donald Trump.
basically what happened was it was in the case it was Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization that it got overturned in
Yeah.
2022,
Yeah.
which basically took the abortion like laws from the federal like level to back to states. So
Back
now
to
the states
states.
are regulating
So,
it.
for example, in Florida, it's been, not
It's
not
banned after
necessarily
6 weeks.
yes. So it's not. I
Yeah.
don't think. Not that I'm 100% aware of. I don't think a state has 100% like banned. You know,
No, they don't have a ban, but they have a ban to
like
6 weeks.
to a week. Yeah. So
Which is is that even the first trimester? I don't think so. I don't think that's even
No,
the
I-
first trimester, is
no,
it?
I think that
I don't know.
should be. I hope.
But all I know
Yeah.
is that it's very tricky because also women usually don't even find out that they're pregnant in the first 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Because
They don't. You don't know. You
you
can't
don't
really
know.
tell. It's not very noticeable.
because it's just very complex, and I feel like this ties into like a bigger issue on like women's rights and
Yeah.
women's health even, because I saw that a woman right now actually she's brain dead, and she's being hooked up to a life support just to keep the baby inside like alive, but like it's so hard for her family to see, you know. So it's just like it's very like crucial things like that I feel like there needs to be like some sort of change, because if one group like doesn't see it like right, doesn't mean that it has to be like that for
I think
everybody.
At the end of the day, I think a lot of people are going to have different opinions, and I don't think like that type of opinion should like be moved to the government, and then that one opinion sticks to the government, and then it goes for everyone all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I like for sensitive topics like this, because again, common ground, it's very hard. So I just think things like this, it shouldn't be up to the states. Like I don't think it should be up to the government, but here we are.
It is. Yeah.
Here we are. I think
Here we are.
yeah, over the years, women had such struggles fighting for their rights, but that was voting rights. We got our voting rights extremely late in comparison to everyone else. Well, excluding white men, obviously. Excluding them. But yeah, I mean, over the years, and I think to this day, there's still fights for women's rights, you know, feminist movements, even for African Americans. So overall, I mean, as obviously, there's been a very big shift from before to now, but it doesn't mean that right now it's
not perfect.
Equal, you know?
Yeah, it's not perfect. There's still work to be done, but
but
I feel like these cases just show that there's such that changes are possible.
Yeah.
And you know, we can
do it.
Yeah, we can do it. We got this. Thank you so much for coming on to this episode.
For having me.
So I'm actually going to be doing a series with her where we talk about like such huge cases.
Yes.
So you guys are going to see more of her.
Yay.
But in the next episode, I'm going to try to have a guest who is a family attorney and talk to him about different things, and you guys are going to see what happens. So always stay curious and never stop asking questions. Thank you for watching. Bye.